So before starting today's session, the first thing is, let me open next slide. Okay, first thing is about IELTS speaking test. As you know, in IELTS exam, they have four components: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. So among them, speaking is the part which you are talking least. If you are already have phase two exam, or if you already started to practice on IELTS speaking test, then these things might be quite basic for you, or maybe you may already know these things, but later on you will get a lot more things about speaking test. This is the speaking test structure. Knowing about structure is crucial for understanding all other things which you are about to speak, or maybe which you are about to learn. First thing is we have part one, introduction and interview, or maybe we are saying general questions. They have 4 to 5 minutes, and there will be around eight number of questions most probably, and at least they will have two components, or maybe um, type of questions, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes they may have more than two type of questions, but at least they will have two type of questions in between these 4 to 5 minutes, and you have to give short answers. It doesn't mean like you have to give only yes or no type of answers. It's not like that, but you have to round up your answers. I forgot to tell that I will conduct this session in English language. If there is anyone who cannot understand properly what I am saying, but this is very basic English, I think most of you can understand, but if not, please let me know. I will explain in Sinhala as well. Because if there is no any specific requirement, or if there is no any member who cannot understand English, we are conducting the sessions in English in terms of gaining your fluency as well as enhancing your speaking ability. In that case, I prefer to conduct this introduction session also in English. But let me know if you need any single clarification. It doesn't matter. It's really okay. Let me know in our chat box. I'll put one hi right now in the chat box. Then you can find out it. Okay. And if you have any other requirement, anything to know from myself, just put some messages in this chat box. Okay. Let's go back to the session. This is part one. They will have only questions about ourselves most of the time, but sometimes they ask in general questions. As an example, they may ask mm, about your hobby, or maybe about your workplace, or maybe about your home, your favorite flower, or maybe about some foods. Kind of questions will be there in part one. When it's coming to part two, I have put this hard sign also in part two. They have some reason behind. Part two, we are calling individual long term, or maybe most of us calling this as our cue card section. Most of the students are clear about this cue card section, and they are telling that cue card is the hardest part in entire IELTS exam, because you have to speak continuously at least for 2 minutes of time without stopping, as well as without any help from the examiner. But yeah, they have some reason, they have some truth about saying that this is kind of hard part, but still when it's coming to cue card, they have so many patterns as well as tips, also so many tools to apply for cue cards. Then by understanding all of these, especially understanding patterns, then you can generate high level of answers for this just 2 minutes of speech. It's not like 1 hour speech or maybe 30 minutes speech, just 2 minutes. You need to compress your ideas as well as understanding the topic and giving on topic answer without going off topic. Lot more things to discuss, but still generally, if you are not going off topic, if you are giving high level of answer, and if you are not doing any mistakes like grammar mistakes or something, and if you are not messing with your pronunciation, coherent, or maybe with your fluency, then you can gain higher marks even for your cue card. Let's talk about this one also later on. And the last part, part three, two-way discussion, or maybe we are saying this is conversational type of discussion. Again, you can see timing is 4 to 5 minutes, just like part one, but this is quite different. I honestly already mentioned that in part one, examiners ask in general about ourselves, surrounding about ourselves, but in part three, instead of ourselves, they are asking some general questions about society, or maybe about older generation, about kids, about younger generation, kind of general questions. So despite of your personal experience, you have to give some general fact, or maybe with some good idea about general questions. So most of the time, this part will link with your cue card question. As an example, if the cue card asking about some, say, suppose, describe about a time which you have to face some difficult situation. I'm just giving one example. Then in part three also, they will ask some questions related with difficult situations of your life, or maybe difficult situations of the country, or maybe difficult situations of young generation, something like that, quite linked with part two. So we have to understand, especially part three, if we are doing self studies, part three might be the least one you are putting your attention, because most of the time we are practicing cue cards, even not part one. Part one, it's fine because those are mostly general questions, but part three, if you are doing self studies, along with your cue card, you have to cover part three questions which available for the same cue card. There may have 4 to 5 questions in part three in IELTS exam, sometimes 4 questions or maybe 3 questions, mostly 4 questions examiners are asking. But you can understand in part one, 8 questions, 9 questions, something like that. But in part three, only 4 questions or maybe maximum five. Then same timing, 4 to 5 minutes. It means you have to give quite lengthy answers than part one. It's obvious, right? Less number of questions in part three, same timing. Part one, high number of questions, same timing. It means in part three, you have to give some fact. You have to prove what you are saying. You have to give some example as well. It's not compulsory, but adding those things whenever possible, you can gain higher marks. This is the basic behind the structure of IELTS speaking test. So keep in your mind. Then after, let's go with next slide. The next slide also really important. Is there any question about the structure, anyone? Okay, let's go with next slide. Okay, now we are little bit talking about this course, because com continuously, if I'm talking about the speaking test, it might be little bit boring for you. So I will add something about our course. Then after again go with speaking test. So next slide will be most probably about IELTS speaking test. So when it's coming to our this 1 month course, IELTS speaking aid, the main problem or maybe the most common question which some of you are asking, why only speaking? Why you are teaching only speaking? Why this course not covering reading part, writing part, or maybe listening part? This is the most common question. And some of you may think, is that worth to join with this course because it's only covering speaking component? Why I'm not going with some course which covering all 4 components? Those are the questions. So I have to give answers for these questions before going forward with anything else. So let's see, why only speaking? First thing is, it's very rare to find a dedicated speaking class, especially not speaking class, IELTS speaking class. If you have found out any dedicated IELTS speaking class, let me know in Sri Lanka. I never have seen, I'm not saying I'm the only one, but it's really rare to find. Most of the time you can find out some classes, IELTS classes, which they are saying they are covering 4 components, all 4 components. But what will happen once after you join, you will realize they will cover mostly your writing tasks, moreover your reading and listening tasks. But in IELTS exam, if you already have learned IELTS before, or maybe if you already have practiced for IELTS before, then you have to realize it's in terms of reading and listening, you have to do self-studies. You don't need to go for any classes. You just need to do self-study. But for writing, they have something. Maybe for writing, you may require some assistance of a teacher just to correct yourself, just to find out if there is any mistake of your structure. Maybe for grammar mistakes, you can do self-studies. You can check yourself. But for structure, you may have some assistant from a teacher. There is no any doubt. But for reading and listening, you have to do self-studies. Even though if you are participate into classes, you have to do self-studies. But when it's coming to IELTS speaking aid, here we will cover everything about speaking class. I mean IELTS speaking, and you will not be able to cover these things in common class because they don't have time for you to teach about everything of IELTS speaking, because this required entire 1 month. It's obvious, right? We are conducting this class for a 1 month. It means if someone is also trying to conduct this class exactly as what we are doing here, what we are teaching here, they also require to conduct this one for entire 1 month. It's not possible because they have to cover other three components as well. But speaking part is the least considerable part in most of the IELTS classes in Sri Lanka. I'm not saying everyone, I'm saying most of the IELTS classes in Sri Lanka. Second thing is speaking requires continuous practice. That's the main requirement actually. That's why this class have scheduled for 3 days of a week as well as 2 hours per day. At least you have to practice in the class. Otherwise, I may conduct this class only in weekends. I can do, right? Because this class I have scheduled as 3 days per week and 2 hours per day. It means altogether 6 hours. Then easily I can conduct this class 3 hours in Saturday, another 3 hour in Sunday. It's really easy. It's easy for me also because I can save my entire week. But it's still, if say suppose you are joining with this class Saturday and Sunday, continuously 3 hours per day. But it's still you will not practice for 5 weekdays. It's obvious. Then you cannot gain your fluency because they have long gap without practice. I cannot be sure that you will practice yourself or maybe you will practice with some other one. It's not something usually happen with your job role or maybe with your shift schedule. In that case, I will make you practice inside of the class. It's not much like good enough. You have to practice in other ways as well, but it's still at least in the class you will be practice. That's the main requirement. That's why I have scheduled this class for 3 days of a week. I think you can understand. But in common classes, it's not possible. They cannot dedicate entire day for speaking. They have to cover the components as well. And also, most of the time, they will not dedicate any at least for mock test. It will not happen. Third one, most of the students are struggling with speaking. I'm not saying all of the students. I'm saying most of the students because I have seen if you already have phase two exam you may have taken already good result for your writing tasks, reading tasks, or maybe listening tasks, but you may have failed on speaking. Then it doesn't matter if you have already failed in speaking, you have to focus or maybe you have to put some extra effort for speaking. When it's coming to speaking, most of the students are facing issues with their fluency. I will discuss the common problems of speaking. I will discuss in coming slides. But most of the students are having these issues. If you already have phase two exam, you may have got low band score for your speaking component. That's the main problem of Sri Lankan students, which they are facing when it's coming to IELTS test. Next one, you will miss speaking in common classes. As I mentioned, you will miss mock test, you will miss most of the theory parts like some tips or maybe patterns or maybe tools which you can apply for speaking. Continuous mock tests are compulsory when it's coming to IELTS speaking test. Without mock test, you cannot gain your confidence as well as gain your knowledge and practice about IELTS speaking. Mock test is the key point which you can cover your speaking part without any hesitations, especially face to the examiner without any hesitation. That also really required because when it's coming to other three components, you just need to go and you have to write down your answers. You have to submit your answer paper, and when it's come to writing, you have to write down your tasks and you have to submit it. But when it's come to speaking, actually you have to face in front of the examiner. So that's one is task, right? Little bit tough because we cannot understand what kind of exam will be there. There may have some matured or maybe some exam which is having good personality. Then you may have some hesitations to face that examiner. In that case, mock tests are really required for gaining your fluency, gaining your practice, gaining your confidence as well. To be confident, you have to do mock test. Say suppose you will not join in this class after today's session because it's obviously not joining every one of you. Then even though if you are doing self-studies, try to find some friend, try to find someone who already doing IELTS exam or maybe doing IELTS exam or plan to do IELTS exam like you. Then just practice together and just do mock test. That will be something which you can do for gaining your practices as well as confidence. Okay, these are the reasons we have decided to conduct this class, or maybe we have to schedule this class as one speaking class, because this is unique. In Sri Lanka, it's really hard to find this kind of IELTS speaking classes. Okay, next one. What will you learn in this class? Because I already mentioned that we are about to teach IELTS speaking in this class. So what will you learn in this class? We'll see. That also really important for you to understand before joining in the class. These are the main thing, but these are not the only thing which you learn in the class. These are the some of main things. First thing is IELTS is speaking based on syllabus. Our syllabus have based on IELTS speaking. Some of you may think that they don't have any syllabus for speaking, just practice, but it's lie. They have syllabus based on the requirements of IELTS speaking. I will show the requirements later on today. So based on those requirements, we have generated this syllabus. And with this syllabus, you will learn a lot of patterns, exam tips, and tools, just as I have mentioned in second one, IELTS speaking patterns, tips, and tools. Main thing is understanding these patterns will help you to give better answers. Without patterns, it's really hard to understand what kind of answer should you give, because they have some weird question which is not quite familiar with us in our daily basis life, mostly when it's coming to your part two. And exam tips, obviously. Say suppose they have some situation which you don't know the question, or maybe which you cannot understand the question, then what will you do? You cannot just sit and without telling anything. It will definitely produce some marks. So in that kind of situation, you can apply some tips. Say suppose they have some questions, you can understand the question, but they have particular word which you cannot understand. Then what will you do? You have to find some tips which you can apply without losing some marks. Or maybe say suppose what you have to do in the preparation time, 1 minute of preparation time, or maybe what you have to do in part three to understand, you have to learn these tips and tools. And tools, yes. Third one, tools means they have some tools which you can apply. By applying, you can generate some high level of answer. By yourself, you may have some disturbance, or you may have some issues with generating good coherent answers in Q card most of the time, or maybe in part three. Then by applying these tools, you can easily generate high level of answers which you can gain higher marks. We'll discuss actually in next slides. I will discuss again about IELTS speaking test. Third one, continuous mock test and speaking practice. As I mentioned, I have generated, or maybe I have scheduled this class for 3 days within a week. It means you will practice continuously. They have only few theory sessions at the very beginning of the class. Once after conducted these theory sessions, it will be easy for you to based on mock test in the class, as well as you will conduct so many mock tests, or maybe you will face to so many mock tests inside of the group as well as group members. So these mock tests will be evaluated, as well as you will get your band score daily basis. By understanding your band score, you can understand what kind of mistakes and what kind of requirements are there to enhance your band score. And I will explain why I'm saying that. I maybe there have some students who already in my classes. I think yes. So they know that in our class, whenever conducting mock test, I am evaluating your mock test, or maybe I'm evaluating your test based on 4 marking criteria. I'll show marking criteria later on. In IELTS speaking test, there have 4 marking criteria which you will gain individual 4 marks. So these 4 marks will be your band score of your speaking test, or maybe the average of this 4 mark will be your band score of your speaking test. In your real exam also, you cannot find out what are the individual marks underneath of these 4 components. It's not possible. They are giving just your speaking band score. But in our class, we will evaluate based on these 4 marking criteria. It means, say suppose you are getting 6.5, then you can understand why you have taken 6.5 in terms of 7 or 7.5. What's the lacking part? Because clearly I will show you and I will explain you the lacking part. That will help, that will definitely help you to gain your band score as well as treat on the lacking part. I will show that in coming slides. Don't be confused. You may confuse what I'm saying here. You will be able to understand within the next slide. Fourth one, time management. I will show why time management is really important. When it's coming to cue card most of the time, time management is really important. I'll show you. Fifth one, keywording and more. Keywording means actually when it's coming to that 1 minute of preparation time of cue card. Before starting your 2 minutes of speech, you have to be prepared within that given 1 minute time. And exam will provide you one paper just to be prepared. Some students really don't know what you can do or maybe what you have to do in this 1 minute of preparation time. They are just thinking about what to say and try to explain the in the given time, but it's not possible. This 1 minute time is there just to be to prepare. You have to write down keyword. Keyword means you have to write down or maybe you have to arrange your idea. When it's coming to a speaking time, when it's coming to a 2 minutes of speaking time, you don't need to worry about what to say because that already there in the paper. You just need to look at the paper and you have to start your answer. That's called keywording, but it's required some practice because say suppose you are writing down lengthy sentences, then it's not possible to read out even while you are speaking without breaking your coherence or maybe breaking your fluency. You have to generate simple words, but still strong words to cover your 2 minutes of speech. And also when it's coming to time management also, keywording is matters because you have to generate exact amount of keyword to cover your 2 minutes of speech. Say suppose you have 50 number of keywords, that will be not possible to cover within 2 minutes. Sometimes it based on your speaking speed as well as number of time you are consuming for covering one keyword. They have factors to understand, but for the moment, just understand this keywording is the crucial part for gaining higher marks of your cue card section. And also, when it's coming to part one and part three, time management is matters. Okay. Any question? Anyone before going forward in next slide? I can see all of you are still listening. No one have left. It means you are understanding everything properly and you are interested in what I'm saying. Let's go with next slide. This one also important to understand, but after this one, they have some slide about IELTS speaking test. First one, who should enroll in this course? Are you a beginner in English speaking now for the IELTS exam? That's fine. Okay, I have to clarify something. Can you understand what I'm saying here? That something matters because in our class, we will discuss everything in English like this. If you can understand what I'm saying right now in this easy English, I'm just talking very in easy English or maybe basic English, right? If you can understand what I'm saying, it means you are eligible for joining this course because I will talk the same in the class and I will speak in the same English, and it means you can understand whatever I will tell about IELTS speaking test. So if you are a beginner, it also fine. If you can understand what I'm saying, it means you can understand everything and you can join in the class. And if you might be beginner for IELTS exam, you might be not beginner for English speaking, you can understand everything properly and you are very fluent, but you may be beginner for IELTS exam. But say suppose you are very fluent right now. Fluency is only one requirement or maybe one component of your IELTS speaking test. Being fluent will not gain you higher marks. Definitely given higher marks, but that's only considered as one component. You have to understand some other components or maybe some other marking criteria as well for gaining higher marks of your speaking test. You may be fluent, but still you may have some issues with generating ideas for IELTS speaking questions like part three questions. Then you have to practice in this kind of classes for gaining your knowledge as well as be familiar with IELTS speaking test. So don't worry, even though if you are a beginner or maybe if you are a beginner for IELTS exam, you can join in the class and you can gain your fluency. You can gain other requirements of your speaking and you can gain higher band score for your speaking test. Second one, have you faced the exam before and failed? That also matters, right? Because I can say 80% of students who join in this class have faced their exam at least once before. 80%, okay? It means not 100%. So it means a lot of students are facing such difficulties with their speaking part. So if you have faced to exam before and couldn't able to gain higher mark for your speaking component, then this is one good place for you to start your practice with confidence. Because in our class, you can gain your confidence as well as you can be motivated while you are practicing the class. Third one, are you fluent enough? That's a plus for you. Yeah, that's a plus for you. Exactly. If you fluent enough, it means you don't need to worry about fluency component. Fluency and coherent, I will show you. You just need to worry about coherent as well as three other marking criteria. Then the hardest part you already have covered by being fluent. So that's kind of good thing for you to mm, gain your required band score with short time of period. Fourth one, have you already booked your exam? Let's start your practice. If you already have booked your exam, it's fine. You can start your practice. But there have two options. I will show you this 1 month batch as well as individual classes also there. I'll show in coming slides. Then you can decide which one to follow. As an example, say suppose your exam is very nearby. You don't have 1 month to be practiced. Then you can go in it individual classes as well. But now before going forward with next slide, there have some questions from you. I will give some frequently asked questions. On they have one main question. Your main question is some of you are asking from me whether will you be able to gain higher marks or maybe will you be able to be fluent within 1 month. That's one question which you will ask. You may have the same question. You may have the question that if you join with this class, it means will you be able to gain your required band score? My answer is it depends with your dedication as well as number of time which you can consume for practice, and also if you can join me the class regularly, then I can be sure about your band score. Say suppose you will join me the class, but you are not putting any extra effort for practice. This is not one writing task. This is required practicing inside of the class as well as outside of the class. Outside of the class means I may conduct some classes which outside of the class just to enhance your fluency, just like group practices. Then as much as possible just try to join. I know that there may have nurses and you have shift schedule and maybe you may have kids, so all those things are going on. A lot of students are having that kind of issues because IELTS exam usually school students or maybe school children are not joining for IELTS exam. You may already be maybe a university students, or maybe you may be one nursing staff, or maybe you may be in some other sector. So it means you are already occupied with your time, but still just try to find out some time for IELTS exam, especially for speaking practice. Then I can be make sure about your required band score. That's the answer. Okay. Any other questions before going forward with next slide? Fine. Then let's go with next slide. Now we are talking about speaking test again. Is there anyone who already have seen this one despite of members of my class? Anyone? Just put one message. Okay, fine. So this is called IELTS speaking band descriptor. You can find out this sheet online. You can search this one as IELTS speaking band descriptor. Then you will get this one and you can read out everything. But here today I'm not going to explain everything because in next day or maybe the starting day of our this IELTS speaking aid course, I will explain everything of this band descriptor. But the reason behind showing this one here in the introduction session, this is the backbone of your speaking test. Without knowing this one, you are like going through dark, or maybe you are throwing an arrow without any clear target. You may think that you are fluent enough or you are good enough for gaining band score 7 or maybe 6.5, but you don't know what's the benchmark. This is the benchmark. So if you can read out everything, if you can understand everything here, then it means you are reading out the benchmark of your current band score. These are the things which we can understand as well as evaluate ourselves in terms of our current level of speaking. So they have four marking criteria. As you can see, the top bar. fluency and coherent, lexical resources, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation. Some of you may already know this one. Some of you may be new for this one. They have some band score here. Band 9, 8, 7, 6. I have read off below band score like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just like that, not required 12 even because your requirements obviously higher than 5.5. Lowest band score for most cases 5.5, and the highest band score in most cases is band score 7, mostly for nursing staff. But despite of that, they may have requirements, 7.5, 8, something like that. Still, as the 7 one is the common one, I will little bit explain about this one to understand. Under fluency and coherence, when it's coming to band score 7, you can see they have clearly mentioned what kind of level you have to maintain for gaining your band score 7 or maybe mark 7 for fluency and coherent. Actually, you will get individual marks for these four marking criteria. Say suppose you are exactly aligned with this requirement. It means you will get mark 7 for fluency and coherent, mark 7 for lexical resources and lexical resources, mark 7 for grammatical range and accuracy, and again mark 7 for pronunciation. So the average of these 7 marks will be the band score of your speaking test. It means you can exactly get band score 7 for your speaking test if you are aligning with these four marking criteria. They have up and downs. Good things about giving marks for these four marking criteria is you can easily understand your lacking part. Say suppose you are getting 5.5 for your fluency and careers when it's coming to your mock test. Usually in our class only I will show these individual marks, but in other classes, even though if they conduct mock test, they will tell you like your speaking band score is band score 6.5, your speaking band score is band 5.5, but they will not tell you what's your marks underneath the fluency and coherent lexical resources likewise. But here we will discuss about individual marks because say suppose you are gaining band score 5.5, then the next question of you is why you got 5.5, what's the lacking part. Then you can easily understand you have messed with your coherence or maybe fluency or maybe your vocabulary or maybe your grammatical range or maybe your pronunciation. Simply you can understand and I will explain you lacking part as well as you can treat on that. So that's the beauty about our mock test, and that will be beneficial for you to gaining your band score. So if you are going to do self-studies or if you are joining with any other class, just refer this sheet, IELTS speaking band descriptor before going forward. This is the exact requirement or maybe exact sheet which you can refer for gaining our required band score. But apart from this requirement, what's the main quality of your speech should have? That is not mentioned underneath of this band descriptor. Let's go with next slide. This is the main requirement. Your proficiency in real life communication situations. IELTS speaking test actually not one formal exam, not like your writing tasks. This is, we can say, informal or maybe semi-formal exam because this IELTS speaking test is therefore to understand whether are you capable enough for communicate with native speakers once after you migrate into whichever country. That's the requirement, right? It means they are just look at yourself that are you capable enough for communicate with them, because natives will have some their unique words, own words, maybe some semi-formal words, not like slang, but semi-formal words, speaking type of words. So they are looking at you that are you talk or maybe are you speak naturally with the examiner. Say suppose you are speaking like reading out one paper, or maybe you are explaining things based on your pre-practice. As an example, say suppose you have generated model answers for your cue cards, assuming they have 90 number of cue card in current version. You have generated exact 90 number of different answers or maybe model answers, and you have marked down or maybe you have memorized all of 90 number of cue cards. Then whichever you will got in your real exam, you will perform with based on that memorized answer. Then that will not feel like one real or maybe accurate or maybe natural speech. Then definitely it doesn't matter whether what you are telling or maybe even though if you apply high level of vocabulary or maybe applying idioms or maybe having high level of grammatical structure, be fluent, it doesn't matter. if you are generating or maybe if explaining memorized answer, exam will reduce marks because it's not one real life communication. So in IELTS speaking test, you have to understand we cannot give memorized answers. We have to give natural answers based on the requirement. Okay, that's why it's required to practice. Apart from practice, you don't have other options. Okay, any questions? Fine. Let's go with next slide then again. Okay, what will you get from this course in our IELTS Speaking Aid course? First thing is you can see this screenshot of our WhatsApp group. This is our free group. Actually, this is still functioning these days due to the weather condition. The pre-practices are not happening these days, but most probably it will be restart after this weather condition. In this group, IELTS speaking and listening, even though it's saying speaking and listening, this is just for speaking. We will conduct daily basis free speaking practices. This is actually ongoing service from or maybe since last 3 years. It is continuously we are conducting. It means it doesn't matter whether are you a student of this our IELTS 1 month course or maybe you are a student of any other course. You can join with our free practices in this group and you can at least practice cue cards or part 3 type of questions. But the thing is, if you are a member of this 1 month course, you will get your chance. You can understand this is one early screenshot. They have 685 members, but now I think it's nearby to 700 members. When it's coming to reaching 700, I will stop adding new members. That's the cutoff limit of this group. Otherwise, I will not be able to manage the number of students which will join for 1 day session. So daily basis around 4 o'clock, I will conduct sessions in this class, in this free group. It means Zoom sessions. Then you can join there and you can get your chance. If you are a member of this our 1 month batch, it means you will get your chance before anyone else. As an example, there may have 20 number of members. It means I will not be able to give chances for everyone with the limited time. But for you, if you are a member, definitely you will get your chance. That's what I mentioned that daily basis is speaking practices apart from the class. That is happening daily basis inside of this group. Second thing is our Telegram channel. There have a lot of content about IELTS exam, not only for speaking, they have content about your writing, listening, reading, including speaking. As an example, they have so many books like Cambridge books and other components, some audio clips, which you can use for your self-studies and practices. So that will be there. You will get access once after you be a member of this our 1 month course. And this third screenshot, this is our WhatsApp channel. Actually, this is for your um, recordings. Simply in our class, actually, we have one website as well, but I prefer to give these recordings through WhatsApp. But maybe in the future, I will consider about giving these recordings through our LMS or maybe our website. But for now, still I am giving these recordings through WhatsApp, through this YouTube channel. It means these your recordings will be there forever. It doesn't matter once after you finish this class, these recordings will not disappear. You can still watch these recordings forever. This lifetime access will be there for these recordings. In some other classes, they will have some expired or maybe expiring date for these recordings. But here it's not like that. Recordings will be there for you for your lifetime. Apart from that, I never have mentioned here, but from your batch onward, they have uh, our IELTS speaking simulator. It means you can get, say, suppose 5 number of speaking or maybe mock test practices with our AI option. That's something unique in our class, in our website, which you cannot find out. Maybe you may have some experience with DP education online speaking practice, something same like that. That's not available right now. You will get some limited number of, say, suppose 5 number of mock test apart from this class mock test with me, some simulated mock test with our AI option. You can get that option whenever you will be free. That option will be available for this batch for the first time in the history. Like still we are feeding new questions. Once after finish the feeding new questions, then you can gain that access as group members of this batch. It's something extra which I never mentioned even in this slide. Okay, these kind of things you will get from this our 1 month course. Okay, let's see what will be there next. Okay, this is about our course IELTS Speaking Aid June 2024, which means this month's batch, and course duration 1 month, time in an hours, every Sunday, Tuesday and Thursday from 8:30 p.m. to 10:30. It means this is one night class, online class, just like the Zoom session, because it doesn't matter whether you have some tight time schedule, because as this is one online class, you can simply join from your mobile. And also I have schedule this one around 8:30. It means that's the time you may be free after your daily routine. Once after you coming back from your work or maybe from your workplace, you may be free around 8:30. Otherwise, I may conduct this one around 7:30, 7 o'clock, but still I should give you time. That's why this I have scheduled for this time like 8:30 to 10:30, and daily cue card practice in the evening, just like which I mentioned just before. Around 4 o'clock, they have cue card practice, but this is not having any relation with this 1 month batch. You may think around 4 o'clock, you will not be have enough time to join with this daily practices. This is something extra. Whenever you have free time, you can join and practice. Whenever you will be busy, it doesn't matter. It's fine because there is no any relation with this 1 month batch for these daily practices. That is something extra. An extra individual mock test before to your speaking test date. Actually, in our class, there will be a lot of mock tests and continuously mock tests. Say, suppose you will face to exam in August. Okay, just assuming. Then once after you book your exam in August, you just need to tell me your exam date. Then I will schedule one mock test before to your exam date just to gain your confidence as well as make you motivate and also be familiar with speaking test. Usually, most of the time, I can understand what kind of questions will come in your real exam because I'm always following as speaking is obvious in Sri Lanka. I can understand type of questions will come normally, and also I can guess some question. It doesn't mean I will exactly tell you what will be the questions of your exam, but most of the time I will give some guess questions. It may work sometime. There have students which have worked that one continuously, but I can give some parameter, like I can tell you you have to focus on these cue cards before your exam because they have higher chances to get these cue cards. Usually it's happening. So in this mock test, you will get that opportunity as well. Course fee 7,000 LKR. It means this might be the class or maybe course which is requiring the lowest amount of money for participate. I think you already have uh, search on IELTS classes in Sri Lanka, then you may have idea about course please, or maybe what kind of fee they will charge for you to join. So 7,000 might be the lowest one. I don't know, they may have some other classes, but with my knowledge, I never have seen any other class lower than 7,000 in Sri Lanka. So you can understand they have a lot more things going on for this 7,000, lot more practices, a lot more mock test as well as individual one mock test before your exam, and also few mock tests from our website, simulated website. So simply, if you are not a member of our this 1 month batch, they have some payments to made before taking our the simulated classes or maybe simulated mock test, or maybe if say suppose you need to take individual class, then they have some fee to make before joining individual classes, but this is the cheapest option which you can choose as well as which you can learn lot more things for this 7,000. Registration, the registration form will be shared after payment has been made. I will share payment details if you require. You just need to tell me that you need to join, maybe through WhatsApp, then I will share the payment details. Registration will be start after today's session. Already have registered one member. It means they have only uh, 12 chances because this is one group class. I cannot give mock test for huge number of members. Say suppose they have 20 number of members or maybe 25 number of members, just like in other classes. It's not possible in a speaking class. I have to keep one cutoff limit. So my limit is 13 number of members or maximum 15. Apart from that, I cannot give daily basis mock test and evaluation. So its registration is limited. If you need to register or maybe be registered, you can ask from me. I will share the payment details. Once, so starting date most probably will be, let me check, today is 2nd. I'll give you some time for register 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. So this is Sunday. This class will start most probably by 9th. So you have exact 1 week to be get registered. So if you need to be registered, just let me know. I'll share the payment details. Okay, but don't wait till the last moment. Once after reach 30 number of members, I will stop registration and I will start the class. But they have one benefit. Say suppose you will get registered today itself or maybe tomorrow. Then you will get extra mock test in coming Tuesday, because it means you already have been registered Tuesday. I will give some mock test for registered members. That is something extra, not belong to this class. You just need to get registered as soon as possible. Then till starting day of this class, I will give mock test whichever assigned for this class. It means Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Okay, that will be there till the starting date. Okay. Second option which you can take is individual classes. Say suppose you are a person who have to face the exam before 1 month, or maybe you have some limited time, you are running out time, or and also you may think you need some extra attention. Then individual classes are there, but very limited number of class. For a day I am conducting only 4 to 5 number of class. It means very limited timing and hours. You can pick a feasible time, mostly in daytime and lunchtime, not night time, because night time I have to conduct this class as well as the other batch. So it means entire week I'll be busy in the night time. A 1 hour individual class to improve your level. It means maximum or maybe generally it's required 1 hour. What will happen in this individual class? There will be mock test. So based on the mock test, based on the evaluation of mock test, you will understand what the lacking point, as well as I will teach you based on your lacking points. Say suppose you have some issues with your vocabulary, then I will give you some tips to enhancing your vocabulary. Or maybe say suppose you have some issues with your fluency, then I will give some tips as well as exercises to enhance your fluency. Likewise, whichever the lacking point of view, individually I will assist with you to enhance in your band score. That will happen in individual classes. But if you are going to take individual classes, I recommend you to take at least 5 classes, because from one class or maybe 2 class, you will not be able to at least see any improvement. At least you will see some improvement after 5 classes if it is individual class. Course fees 1,000 per session, it means 1,000 per day. So it up to you. If you're running out time, or maybe if you're thinking that you need some extra attention apart from the night class, then you can choose this option. But this is only for if you are thinking that you need some extra attention. But that night class will be beneficial by considering the cost, as well as considering the things will happen in night class. There have a lot more things going on in this 1 month batch. So I recommend you to join it 1 month batch. Apart from the individual class, it's up to you. These are the options which you can take from our institute. And when it's coming to these classes, you can have some faith about myself. You just need to go our Facebook channel, or maybe join it this free group. Then you will be able to understand how many number of students are there who already have faced their exam throughout this class, and also got their required band score. They have a lot more success stories in our Facebook channel. In that case, I didn't include that one in this slide, because it's like waste of time of you to bluff about myself and bluff about the class. You just need to go to our Facebook channel and check yourself if you need to see about the success stories about our group, our class. Okay. Is it hard, or have you failed before? So then you have to consider about these tips. First thing is, continuous practice is must. Even though it doesn't matter you are doing self studies, or maybe you practice with your friends, or maybe you are participate into any other class, it doesn't matter. For speaking, you have to practice continuously until your speaking date. you cannot have any interval or maybe any free time in between this practice. Continuously you have to practice. Second thing is be familiar with the exam requirements. You have to be familiar with the exam requirements in terms of getting your required band score. So requirements are there, basic requirements are there in your band descriptor. By knowing band descriptor, you can cover 80% of exam requirement. 20% of other requirements you have to cover by yourself. If you are joining with our class, we will teach and we will discuss about exam requirements. Learn from listening to yourself. So this is one valuable tip for you. Whenever you are doing self-studies, just record yourself. Say suppose you are covering one cue card. Just start recording yourself and listen back to your answer. While you are speaking, it's really hard for you to understand what kind of mistakes are there. Some students are there, they are having habitual mistakes. As an example, some students are there, they are having pronoun mistakes. Instead of he, they are saying she. Instead of she, they are saying he. Or maybe some habitual words, habitual pronouns. It's really familiar to them, and while speaking, they cannot understand even that they are doing some mistake. But by listening back, they can find out a lot of mistakes of their answers if they have. So this is one tip which you can apply. Always record yourself, listen back to it. Mock tests are the real deal. As I mentioned, I think it's not required to explain about mock test again. As I mentioned, the value about mock test, you have to do a lot of mock tests. It means you have to have at least one friend to practice with for mock test. If you are not joining the class, but if you are joining the class, they will have a lot of group practices as well as mock test with me. Listen often. For enhancing your fluency, enhancing your speaking, two things you can do. First thing is speak as much as possible. Second thing is listen. By writing, you will not be able to enhancing your speaking ability. You just need to listen and speak. Say suppose you don't have any opportunity or maybe you don't have any time to speak, then at least listen. Listen to English songs or maybe watch English movies or maybe whenever you are doing your writing tasks, you can, sorry, whenever you are doing your um, reading tasks, you can read out. Whenever you are doing listening tasks, you can listen. For listening is really important for this one as well. Stay motivated. Motivation is really required. Don't be demotivated. Mostly I have seen if you have faced to exam early and if you haven't able to get your required band score, then you are demotivating. Don't be like that. Just learn some lesson from your previous failures and be motivated and just try to practice continuously. Don't be desperate. Okay. Apart from that, I think these are the main requirements. IELTS Speaking May and June, they have very newer questions which they have added to IELTS exam, IELTS Speaking test May onward. So these questions will be valid for June, July, and mid of August. So you can find out these questions and you can start practice. I have applied one here, but they have a lot more questions. Around 30 number of questions they have applied or maybe they have added into IELTS speaking test. So start with those questions because those are the main guesses, main guessing questions which you may come in your real exam in this month as well. A lot of students are facing their exam in these days as well. They also getting the same question. So you don't need to worry about type of question will come in your real exam. You just need to understand the pattern. Whenever you are joining in the class, I will tell you the pattern and I will tell you the best guess which you can get or maybe best guess which might come in your real exam. So this is one question. Describe a picture, photograph of you that you like. This is one new question. So these kind of question we will cover in our class. Okay. These are about the IELTS speaking test as well as about the course. Now it's time for you to ask questions from me. You can ask any question. Um, from here on, I will speak in Sinhala. You can ask questions in Sinhala as well. හරි. ඔක්කොම ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින් කරේ. මං හිතන්නේ හැමෝටම තේරෙන්නේ නැති. කාට හරි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් අහන්න පුළුවන්. සිංහලෙන් අහන්නත් පුළුවන්, ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින් අහන්නත් පුළුවන්. ඕනිම දෙයක් ගැන IELTS speaking exam එක ගැන හරි, මේ course එක ගැන හරි ඕනි දෙයක් අහන්න පුළුවන්. Anyone? හරි. එහෙමනම් පැයක් පුරාවටම මේ ක්ලාස් එකේ එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ ඉන්ට්‍රොඩක්ෂන් සෙෂන් එකේ විදියට හැමෝටම ස්තුතියි. අපි ඊළඟ සතියේ ඉරිදට ඒ කියන්නේ 9 වෙනිදාට අපි ක්ලාස් එකෙන් හම්බෙමු. එහෙනම් හැමෝටම සුබ දවසක් සුබ රාත්‍රියක්. Have a good night.